The films we looked at have far more female protagonists.
Far more women at the center of the movies. Hooray for that.
All right, that was a short clip from a new docuseries that's starting tonight on Turner Classic Movies, the channel. And Alicia Malone is a host quite frequently on that network, joining us this morning. And Mark Cousins is the director of this Women Make Film. Again, this docuseries, I believe 14 part, because there's a lot to delve in here. Both of them joined me this morning. How are you?
Hi, good.
I'm super excited. Mark joining us this morning from Scotland, and then Alicia joining us from the other coast, from the other side of the United States in LA. So I love that this opportunity allows us to chat here together this morning. Talk about, I guess the most obvious question is, why make a docuseries on women and the importance of women in the film industry? Alicia, I'll let the woman go first here this morning.
Well, Mark Cousins has done such an incredible docuseries by taking a look at many of the female filmmakers we've had since the very beginning of cinema from all over the world. There's still plenty more to discover after the docuseries. But what you see during these 14 hours is that women have always made films, women have always made all kinds of films, and that women, we should be celebrated on the same level as men. We should study these films the same way we study films directed by men. We should include them in all those top 100 greatest films of all time lists. And once you see this documentary, what Tilda Swinton, one of the narrators, says at the very beginning of the series is, feel free to be frustrated that these films have been overlooked, but feel free to be delighted by the medium of film. And that's exactly how I felt while watching the series.
Yeah. Mark, this could be a dangerous question, but as a man, looking at all these women kind of inspired films, what did you learn about women and kind of what they bring to the table? I'd imagine there was a lot that you kind of had to look through and really kind of focus on. Did you learn anything?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, my life is full of women, so I did, my mom and everybody, I have women all around me. But in terms of cinema, I sort of started watching films directed by women about 25 years ago, and I saw again and again, everything I thought was true was not true. People say women make films only about children or relationships or intimate domestic stories. None of that is true. Women make films about everything, as Alicia has just said so well, and I just learned to ditch my dogma, forget my false impressions, and watch what women have really done in cinema, which is everything.
Well, and it's interesting that you said, Alicia, that there has been a lot of films already been, directed by women, and women have had a big part in it, but you don't really hear about it a lot. I don't feel like it's as celebrated back in the earlier days of film. And I feel like now there is a movement for that. Do you see that we are headed this way?
Absolutely. I think there's a big misunderstanding about having a lack of female directors and a lack of talented women ready to direct. And that's not true, because women have always been making films. We just see that when women start to try to move up the budget ranks, so when they go from making an independent film to a movie that requires money from financiers or money from a studio, that's where they drop off, because there's a bias about what female directors can do. And that's part of what this series is all about, is correcting that idea, correcting that bias. And I think, a couple of years ago, it was important to talk about how there was a strong inequality behind the scenes. But thanks to, the Time's Up movements, the Me Too movements, I think the wider audience knows that there is inequality that's happening, especially in Hollywood. So now what's exciting is we can move the conversation to celebrating the work that has already been done by women, and then start to open our eyes and open the windows, hopefully, for more stories made by women from all over the world.
So how do we do that? Because most people watching this morning are not going to be the insiders, that are directors themselves or have a big part in movies. It's going to be the consumers of that, right? I mean, we're at home actually watching the content. So what do you wish, after people watch this docuseries, what do consumers of media, what can they do to help promote other women?
I think first of all, people, if people just watch tonight, start watching tonight, and watch loads of stuff, there'll be nearly 200 hours of films directed by women on TCM. And when you watch with your eyes open, watch like a child, watch with a innocence and a kind of joy and a determination to discover and learn, and then you see all sorts of worlds, all sorts of stories, themes, ideas, emotions, desires, everything. And once you realize the richness, the plenitude of this, then, when you see anything good, you say to your friend, try this, you'll like it. And that's what you do. You say to your friend, try this, you'll like it.
Yeah,
like
I
it.
always say, we're in America and they say that the customer is always right, and we're the customers, so we can ask for more. So once you start watching these films and you want more, then we can go to studios and demand to see more opportunities for women. And we talk about representation and how powerful it is when someone sees themselves reflected on the big screen. But what we don't often talk about is how thrilling it is for people like me, who often sees herself on the big screen, to see stories I've never seen before and get to have a window into cultures that I've never experienced, and how exciting that is just to see new stories. I think it's better for all of us film lovers.
Well, again, the series starts tonight, Tuesday nights on TCM. And Alicia and Mark, thank you both so much for joining us this morning. We really enjoyed it. And again, I love that we can check in with all these amazing locations across the world.
Thank you.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And of course, we'll put all those details on our website too.